Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. I'm going to start off with giving you an overview, I think, and then I will be reading through quite a bit of the details within the article, word for word, and those aspects that I read through word for word are going to be detailing some of the horrific torture, brutal torture that was held at a young 11-year-old boy who was murdered, allegedly at the hands of his own grandmother and the grandmother's boyfriend, the two scumbags that you see on the screen in front of you. So I will start off by giving you an overview, but then I will go into some details pertaining to the injuries sustained by the 11-year-old, as well as his younger 9-year-old brother. And I'm gonna be telling you about some of the things that this fucking evil whore, the grandmother in particular, subjected her 11-year-old grandson to. So I need to put in place a full trigger warning. I mean, that's with all sincerity. In terms of torturous actions, this is certainly one of the worst that I've read through. There is a link in the description. So I'll start off by giving you an overview, and then we'll look closer at certain aspects. So it's in regards to these two scumbags. This is the grandmother of the victim, and this is the grandmother's boyfriend. Her name, Stephanie Marie Davis, and she's 52 years of age. His name, Thomas James Desharnais, 33 years of age, both from Arizona, which is where the murder and torture occurred. And tragically, the young man in question, the 11-year-old Chaskah Davis Smith, lost his life in late January 2022. Why are we looking at these details today? Well, because prosecutors in Arizona have signaled that they will be seeking the death penalty against both of these two scumbags for the torture and murder of 11-year-old Chaskah Davis Smith, her grandson. So in February, these two scumbags were indicted on several felony charges, which included 1 count of first-degree murder, 9 counts of child abuse, and 1 count of tampering with evidence. The body was found January the 30th. What happened was the police department were called out around 5 p.m. January the 30th to reports of an unresponsive child at a hotel called the Extended Stay America Hotel. First responders found the scumbag grandmother performing CPR on the victim, 11-year-old Chaskah Davis Smith. The paramedics took over the CPR. They reportedly suctioned a half-liter of water from the 11-year-old boy. So, I'm not a paramedic. What does that mean? Well, I'm guessing that he was forced to drink. Was that an attempted drowning? He was drowned. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm kind of presuming that he was drowned or it was an attempted drowning. I could be entirely wrong on that point. Paramedics, or perhaps other authorities, there were officers there as well, observed that Chaskah's 9-year-old half-brother had injuries to his face and bruising around his eyes. So not only was 11-year-old Chaskah Davis Smith a victim of child abuse, but so too was his younger 9-year-old half-brother. Chaskah was transported to a local hospital. Tragically, he was pronounced dead approximately 2 hours after arriving at the facility. The medical staff told investigators that Chaskah had suffered significant injuries which were likely the cause of his death. Doctors also examined Chaskah's younger brother and determined that his injuries were severe and in various stages of healing and scarring. It was clear to the doctors, to the medical staff, that both boys had multiple injuries and as such would have been the victims of prolonged abuse. The boyfriend of the grandmother has made a statement to the authorities, and we're going to read through some of the things that he claims she did. So according to him, she's the main culprit. Maybe that's true, maybe it isn't. The boyfriend told police that the grandmother regularly abused both of the boys, both physically and mentally. The boyfriend had said that the grandmother's abuse had become increasingly severe in recent months. And an example of that severity of the abuse is that the boyfriend claims that the grandmother hit Chaskah in the head multiple times, 4 or 5 times, with a metal ratchet. That happened apparently the day prior to Chaskah's death. Hit in the head with a metal ratchet 4 or 5 times. Allegedly by the grandmother. The boyfriend also stated to authorities that the grandmother would starve both children, the 11-year-old and the 9-year-old, for days at a time. The grandmother, according to the boyfriend, would also hit them both with a wooden broom handle. She would make Chaskah sleep in the bath time several times a week. Why would the grandmother force the grandson, 11-year-old grandson, to sleep in the bathtub? Literally, the reason was so that he wouldn't get blood all over the room from his wounds. Can you fucking believe that? Things get worse. I'm going to read this out. This is absolutely horrendous. Brace yourself. Full trigger warning. If you're feeling queasy, bow out at this stage. The boyfriend of the evil grandmother, they're both evil. The boyfriend reportedly told investigators that the grandmother would use needle nose pliers to torture the boys by pinching their skin and bending their fingers. When searching the room, investigators found needle nose pliers, a wooden broom handle, and a wrench. All of those items that the boyfriend claimed the grandmother used against her 2 grandsons, an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, to torture them, to inflict pain, to inflict fear, to inflict physical and psychological damage. Blood was allegedly found on all 3 of the objects. What does this scumbag have to say about the subject? What does the grandmother have to say? Well, she says it's all Chaskah's fault. He did it to himself. The bulk of Chaskah's injuries were self-inflicted, according to this evil fucking scumbag, the grandmother. Apparently, according to this fucking whore, Chaskah, the 11-year-old boy, had been hurting himself all day prior to his death. He hit himself in the head with the wrench, cut his genitals with a paring knife. She's innocent, apparently. She's a perfectly fine grandmother, perfectly good grandmother, according to her. She said she left him alone in the bathtub for 15 minutes. He came back and he wasn't breathing. Is that right, grandmother? Is that right? He did it all himself, did he? An 11-year-old boy drowned himself in the bathtub, did he? An 11-year-old boy attacked his own genitals with a paring knife, did he? Is that what happened? He hit himself over the head with a wrench multiple times. That's your story, is it, grandmother? To recap, Arizona are seeking the death penalty. Good for you, Arizona prosecutors. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that you have the death penalty. I'm glad to hear that you're seeking the death penalty. I do Google which states have the death penalties, and then I forget. It's hard to keep track of. But often when I look these up, I read that a certain state does have the death penalty, but they've not enacted it for the last several decades, or on extremely rare occasions. So even where it is available, it's not necessarily used that often. And in my opinion, I would use the death penalty. I'd use it a lot. I'd use it like a hell of a lot. I know a lot of you guys, you're of the opinion that you prefer to see these guys suffer, to not receive the death penalty, but to have life in jail without parole, and to give general population the chance to, frankly, beat the fuck out of them on a regular basis. Might as well say it frankly. Beat them, torture them, put them through the hurt, the pain, the suffering that they put their victims through. And I'm sympathetic with that point of view. Like, I don't hate that situation at all. If it was televised, I'd tune in. I'd subscribe to that service. Netflix are losing subscribers. Maybe they could talk to some of the prisons, get a show going. So yeah, I am sympathetic to that point of view. I just feel that these guys, scumbags like this, child murderers, child abusers, child torturers, and not even just child murderers, murderers in general, torturers in general. These absolute scumbags. I mean, they've transgressed society's norms to a very great extent. And of course, these are the incidences that we know about. What about the incidences that we don't know about? In this case, the medical examiners, the doctors have stated it is their belief that both Chaskah and his 9-year-old younger brother, half brother, suffered prolonged physical abuse. How many? I look at these people, when I look at criminals that are clearly criminals, they're convicted, they're about to be convicted, the evidence is stacked up against them. I mean, I'm not naive enough to believe that that's the first time they've committed a crime. No, they're fucking evil people. They do this kind of shit all day long. Will have done for decades. I mean, that's how I view things. I have my eyes open. I'm rational. I'm reasonable. It's common sense. So yeah, these guys should face suffering. They should face suffering. Why can't we do a bit of both? Why not subject them to torture? Just say, okay, you're sentenced to 3 months of torture, and it's going to be horrific, guys. You're going to be burnt. You're going to be abused. You're going to have your bones broken. You're going to be attacked by dogs. You're going to have tools applied to you. We're going to do some real fucking brutal, barbaric shit to you. Medieval style. Why can't we do that for 3 months? A certain period of time. Maybe make it 12 months. And then, at a certain point in time, fucking just throw them in a ditch. Give them a dose of lead poisoning. Pour some concrete over them. Done. Why not do that? That would be my proposal, seriously. And we're about to enter a society collapse, in my opinion. I think we are. Could be wrong. I think it's a possibility. And if that does happen, if the New World Order does occur, if we, the people, have any say over it, I'm going to be being very vocal about having brutal justice for these evil, sick scumbags. These two and those like them. Going to wrap things up at this point, guys. If I've done a half decent job, if it's been worthwhile being introduced to this topic, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. Going to make a few more videos today, I believe. Hoping to pump out multiple videos every day. Do stick around and take care.